This time on Rad Rat Video, we talk about hype for Skate 4 and talk about a few more of your questions. Let's do it. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, a channel about skateboarding in all of its forms. And today we're answering some of your questions. These were all submitted by going to radratvideo.com. You can submit your own there, and please do. Okay, the first one was actually not submitted through there. It was from Patreon, from Wes, who says, in your most recent Ask Rad Rat video, you mentioned being more excited about tech boards over hype brands, which made me wonder what you think of Andy Anderson's Pro model. Would you ever consider riding something that wide? It's about as technical as a board can get, but very specific to Andy. The size alone seems very opposite of Rad Rat to me, but so many of the features seem to appeal to flat ground and freestyle skating. Also, do you think it's a smarter move for a pro to put out a basic model with their name on it, or a tailored board like Andy's? Surprisingly, his deck seems to sell really well, but I wonder how many repeat customers are out there. Okay, a lot of people ask me about his board. Like every week I get a question about his board, and I have talked about it before. If you haven't seen, his Pro model looks like this. It's got a lot of weird features that make it better for certain types of skating. So he does street, but he does some freestyle type stuff as well in there. And so he has this specific board that he has designed. I think it's really cool to make a board that's really specific for what you like as a pro. If he just had a normal popsicle deck with his name on it, I don't think anyone would talk about it. People would still like his skating, but I don't think it would do it as well just being a generic street board, personally. So I think that was a good move, and that's something I would like to see more of. Boards that have a little feature that you wouldn't expect, that most boards don't have, where they really like if the, right around the front truck gets a little bit wider. Why? I don't know, because it pinches the wheel better in a crook or something. I don't know what the exact thing would be, but having more different shapes like that would be cool. Now me, I don't know if it fits my skating that well. As you said, it is a pretty wide board, which I don't mind for street. For freestyle, my freestyle board is really tiny. It's a 7.4, although it's worn down a lot because it's a few years old. It's probably a 7.25 at this point. But yeah, I don't think that board would work for some of the really technical stuff I do, like flipping to and from the rail and things like that. So that said, if I ever see one at a store, I'm going to buy it and play around with it. I don't want to buy it online. I've got kind of a thing right now where I want to buy things from an actual store somewhere and give support to the local store. I don't have any local skate shops in my town except for, like the ones at the mall type of place. But yeah, if I ever see it somewhere, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to play around with it and see if I like it. But I'm very glad that it exists, and I have a lot of respect for both him and Powell for coming out with that. Okay, the next question is also from Patreon, from Corey, who says, my question for Ask Rad Rat is, doing a trick and a half pipe, reverting, and going into a manual like in the Tony Hawk games, is that possible in real life? Yes and no. It's a lot more complicated than it would be in the game because you don't get a lot of grip when you're landing on vert, depending on the type of surface that the ramp is. If it's like skate light and it's really slick, that's helpful if you want to like go up and pivot into a back tail or something like that. You don't want it to be too grippy. The ramp that I made back in the day was just plywood and it was too grippy. So trying to like do tail stuff was really hard. But sliding out a trick and then landing in a manual would be really, really hard. So it depends on what the trick was. If you were to go up, do a kickflip, and you're kind of starting to shift this way, you land, slide out, and then pull it up into the manual, you could. There's nothing that would really stop you from it other than that being a really bad combo in skateboarding. You would never want to have all four down and sliding your whole board at once and then pulling it up into either a manual or a nose manual. Like that wouldn't be considered a combo, at least not to me. If you wanted to do a vert trick as a combo, you could just land in a manual. There's no reason you can't do that. I think that's a better question. Why do the Tony Hawk games require this extra thing? Why couldn't you just land a vert trick into a manual? And the reason for that, of course, is for gameplay purposes. If it was too easy to do it, then like vert wouldn't feel special. So you might as well add in this extra button press, and now vert has its own type of feeling to it. And you've got to keep in mind that whenever I hit vert, I got to be prepared to hit that trigger, that type of thing. So so not having a bunch of grip would make it so you couldn't really spin and land well, you could, if you did like a 360, you could land and spin out kind of easy, but to land, spin out into the revert and then manual, you'd have a lot of spin left, and you're only on your back truck. So you're trying to hold that spin, keep your shoulders straight. You would eventually have to slide out and keep spinning. So technically possible, but definitely not in the way the game shows you. All right, next question from the Skate Dad on IG. He says, my question is regarding wood shops. Why is it so hard to determine what wood shop boards come from? I've looked online and have found some things, but nothing super reliable. For example, if you prefer PS Sticks and wanted an Element board. I know they make boards at PS Sticks and in China. How would you know which you are getting? I think brands should be more clear about where their boards are coming from. Okay, so if there is a company that makes decks, one's in China and one's a more traditional, maple from Canada, made in California type of place, they're going to brag about the one, and they're not really going to tell you about the other one, right? They're not going to slap a made in China sticker on some of their boards because people aren't going to buy those, right? So you got to think about, from the business's perspective, what do they gain from telling you more than they have to? What do they gain from saying, we use this shop, but if they're too booked, sometimes we use this shop. Only a couple times per year we end up going with them because we don't like their glue as much. But these guys are good. The boards are actually a little bit worse, but their turnaround time is better. They don't want you to know any of that stuff. They would rather you just see the product and buy it based on the name and the graphic on it and the shape, and that's it. They don't really need you to know that. The only reason they would tell you is if it was a big deal. If this was like the most famed wood shop that is famous for skateboards, they've been making them forever, they make all the top brands, and you were starting a brand new brand, then yeah, you might want to brag that they're made there. But aside from that, they're not doing themselves any good by telling you that. So it does kind of suck, but you got to think of the money. If it's not going to make them money to do it, then they're not going to do it. That's just how businesses operate. The last question is from Ralphie Boy and many others actually, who says, are you excited for the upcoming Skate 4? Best regards from Osnabrück, Germany. Okay, if you didn't see the little teaser that they put up for Skate 4, there was an event that they were doing at EA, and everyone was expecting to see Skate 4, and they didn't have anything, so they just whipped up this quick little teaser just to acknowledge that they knew you wanted it, but they didn't have anything to show. And they showed people skating in the outfits with the balls with the mocap and all this kind of stuff, but it was all fake because it was like 3 people doing tricks at the same time, and you couldn't be able to capture that much all at the same time. Or if you could, they wouldn't all have landed their trick at the same time. Like, it was a staged motion capture thing. And then some people saying that they've seen the game and that it looks good, but I don't think the game truly exists yet. Some of the tricks they were recording, someone did a big spin, which it would be cool if big spins looked like big spins, but there's such a complicated thing with that because the game doesn't know what you're going to do next. If you do a pop shove it and then you start to spin, that'll look different from a big spin where you shove it and spin at the same time. But if you did the big spin and then you kept spinning, then that would actually look different. Is there going to be a mocap for every variation and it's going to transition between? I doubt it. I think they just dress people up in black, put up a bunch of the camera sensors, and had them skate for like 10 minutes to make this teaser. I think that's all it was. I don't think the game exists in any real form at this point. which is disappointing because the Barracks, they at least popularized, I'm not sure if they started it, but the Make EA Skate Again with the hats, you know, and they were posting that as a campaign to get EA to know that we all want to play Skate again. So go out and make it, and they didn't do it, and years go by. And they finally announced that they're doing it with nothing. No screenshots, not even a logo, nothing. I'm pretty sure that when they announced the game, they had just decided to do it a week ago. And so now maybe they are capturing some tricks, but I bet that's all there is. And I bet we don't see anything for about 2 years. And I don't mean the game comes out in 2 years. I bet we see like an in-depth gameplay trailer, if not a demo or something along those lines, in 2 years. Games are taking a lot more time to make now than they used to. I don't know how much of Skate 3 they could reuse and try to port over. Skate 3 runs great on the Xbox One, so like maybe. But yeah, I think they're basically starting over. They've got almost nothing to show, but they want to acknowledge that you wanted to see it. And unfortunately, a lot of games these days, they'll tease something years and years and years before anybody sees it. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on there. So I was kind of annoyed that they even bothered to make it. I was annoyed that they bothered to announce it. I wish they had just said, okay, you can stop telling us there's something in the works. That's enough to tell us that it's there, but not to build hype. They shouldn't be trying to build hype now. Now, I would love to be shocked and it comes out Christmas this year. That would be amazing. It's not going to happen, though. Okay, so that's it. I get for now. We've got Session, which is still in decent shape. They did a new update where they've revamped some of the locations, and they've added in a bunch of new spots and stuff like that, which is still fun. But the game still needs a ton of work. It always does this thing for me where I will run and then jump on the board, and I'll start to land, and then I twist around and I land switch, and my board is backwards, and there's like tension on the board. So if I ever hit, like if I get some air, the board will twist around, but I also can't turn. Well, like that one needs a lot of work too. To me, a small team working on Session versus the full EA, I don't know who's actually making it, but the full team behind Skate 4, it's going to be a race to see which game is actually finished first, in my opinion. I think they're both pretty far off. And then Skater XL, I think, is dead, at least to me. They made a new level, but it was kind of boring. There's a lot of mod stuff going on and drama with someone who made a mod, then they banned him, and I don't know. There's not a lot on the very near horizon for those types of skate games, but there are some more coming. There is Skatebird, which I played a demo of right here. I did not care for it, but it was a long time ago, so they may have made it a bit better. And we've got Ollie World, I think it's called, is coming. So there is stuff on the horizon. Skate 4 should be on the very back part of your mind, though. So that's it for now. If you've got your own questions, go to radratvideo.com and submit them there. You can also sponsor me on Patreon to see some stuff early, and you can submit your questions there, which will definitely be answered, like the two were in this video. And you can support the channel by liking it, sharing it. You can hit the join button and get some perks that way. But that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out.